teacher. If ever you need to communicate with us, you can communicate through this method. You'll see that there's a picture of my name on Alyssa's screen, and that's the way it would be for those students in the room that are mine. For those students to Alyssa, that are Alyssa's, you'll see Alyssa's name and face in that screen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's pretty much, I guess, the background with regards to the brand new system. I'm happy to just, I guess, start talking a little bit about goal setting now, which is our very first subject.
Absolutely.
Is there anything else that you wanted to add there, Alyssa, as far as the new system is concerned, or anything else that you've noticed at all?
No, look, I just think, I guess in terms of generally to everybody, the system is a little bit, or the portal, the platform is a little bit different to the old portal, but I guess the more you kind of tend to use it and get into the swing of things, the easier it becomes. So I guess I can't stress enough, and probably Adam as well, just kind of get a bit of a feel for where everything is, and once you've got a feel for where everything is, it'll just make uploading and answering your learning activities and doing your assessment a little bit easier. Okay.
Absolutely.
So I guess that's all I kind of wanted to say, and hopefully in these types of sessions with Adam and I, hopefully we can, any questions or any issues you might have with regards to the platform or to the assessments and learning activities in general, we're here to support you. So don't be afraid to ask any questions or give us some feedback, because we do enjoy it, and the experience is about you guys, and we want to make it the best experience for you. So yeah.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Alicia, should we jump into our favourite discussion, favourite topic to talk about in goal setting?
I think we should.
I think that's very good. Just to put it out there to everybody listening in, does anybody want to share any experience that they've had with goal setting, any good stories, or even if you're brave enough to share a story that didn't work out so well? Have you guys got any stories in terms of setting goals for yourself, or something that you'd like to share with anybody? Okay, sounds good. Alyssa, did you want to share any stories or anecdotes that you've got in reference to this subject?
I always like talking about goal setting, Adam. You know that. Look, I guess to everybody out there. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm another assessor. So I obviously work with Adam. So obviously from my perspective, I've always been quite focused on the whole kind of idea of goal setting. I'm very driven by setting small goals for myself and then setting bigger goals. I often like to say that I set goals because I guess I really like to feel personal success, and for me that's I guess where I really get that motivation and get that feeling from. I guess at the end of the day, if you've got no focus, it's very difficult to start to achieve things. And goals are always a good starting point to really work towards a bigger type of opportunity. I've got a few massive goals that I want to achieve this year. I do a lot of goal achieving for businesses, so what I like to do is I also like to set myself personal goals. When you go into the workplace, it is very goal focused generally, so you feel like you're achieving for an organisation. However, at the same time, there needs to be your own personal goals. So I guess as you work through the unit, think about yourself and think about what you would like to achieve, and sometimes, think about some of those dreams that you might have and how you can accomplish those goals. Adam and I will probably talk a little bit about planning and the importance of planning as well when it comes to setting goals. So again, I guess that's an important facet of that as well. So yeah, that's my big thing. I'm a big goal setter. I love it. I like feeling that success, and I'm happy to talk to anybody about goal setting. I could talk for hours, but I can't today. So Adam, I'm going to hand it across to you.
You're allowed. I'm happy. I'll sit here all day and listen to you, Alyssa. That's absolutely fine. That's great. Something that I want to talk about in reference to goal setting is the relationship between dreams and goals.
Mm.
Now, when I say the relationship between dreams and goals, it's an interesting sort of discussion, because there is a real a real relationship between a dream and a goal. When we're talking about a dream, really what we're talking about is just a series of thoughts. So a dream is just considering how things could be. You know, when you're sitting around on the couch thinking, yeah, look, things could be a little bit better, or I'd really love to do this, or I'd love to do that. That's really at that point where it's just a thought, and that thought is sort of manifesting in your mind, and you're thinking it through and thinking about what you'd like to do and so on and so forth. A dream, and this is where there is a close relationship between these two. So a goal, all a goal is really basically putting in place an implementation plan for your dream. So a dream is nothing more than a thought process, and a goal is nothing more than operationalizing that thought process. Does that sort of make sense? So sometimes things will shift between what I call the dream basket and the goal basket. But remember, all goals start as a dream, because a goal has to start from somewhere, and the place that a goal will always start is from that thought process. And so really the only difference between a goal and a dream is is setting a bit of a plan of attack, really.
Yep.
And so if you've ever sat around on the couch thinking, yeah, look, I'm really like to do this, that, and the other, and I'm just not really overly motivated, and so on and so forth, I'm just not sure what. Believe it or not, you've already started the process of goal setting, because goal setting has to start somewhere, and it starts from that point of view of your own thought process. And as we go into a bit more of a further discussion, we'll be talking about SMART goals in a moment. We'll be talking about how important your own, I guess, the goals are to you, as far as how relevant they are to you. So we'll talk about that pretty soon, but that's why the actual thought process is certainly really important. An example might be that I might wish to own a desert island, or build a house on a desert island. This is a dream of mine. Now, to make this a goal, I need to start making this a plan. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start organising builders, and I'm going to start organising materials and ships and so on, so forth. What might happen is once I start actually engaging in my actual plan of attack, I realise that it's just completely unrealistic. Why is it unrealistic? Well, it's extremely expensive to send a ship over to a desert island to build a house. And it's not until I begin starting those steps and investigating and doing that do I realise that's the case. At that point, what can happen is that goal can move back into the dream basket. So it's okay that things switch between the two. And I want people to know that it's not a matter of giving up if you move something back into the dream basket from being a goal. It's more of just being understanding that you're putting too much energy into something that's just not going to come to fruition, or it's just not realistic at that moment of time. Things can change. The price of shipments and building materials and labour might be cheap enough to be able to do that in a period of time. At this particular time, it may not be. So it's okay to flip between. And yeah, I guess that's what I want to talk about in reference to dreams and goals. Shall we start talking about? Do we want to have a look at the very, very first question? Is there anything that we're missing at this point? Does anybody feel comfortable to share any story now that they've got in reference to dreams and goals, or setting goals for themselves at all? Okay.
Yeah, I think we just get started on those learning activities then, Adam, shall we?
So Alyssa, why don't you show everybody how to navigate to the very, very first, or the one that we're going to do is actually goal setting today.
Beautiful.
So let's open it up.
All right. Okay, so here we go.
Now, just to let everybody know who's tuning in now and will be tuning in later, Alyssa and myself are looking to put together just a little video of ourselves so that you guys can see who we are. And I'm going to be interviewing Alyssa, and Alyssa's going to interview me. A couple of little corny questions. You know, what's your favourite chocolate bar? What do you like to do on weekends? Stuff like that. And we'll be putting that on. I think next week we'll put that up. So if you guys want to see what we look like and things like that, and get to know us a little bit better, keep an eye out for those videos that we're putting up. That'll be fun.
You've committed us now, Adam.
I knew it. That's exactly why I said it. I thought if I say it, it's done. We have to do it now.
Oh dear.
Adam, can I interrupt you for a moment?
Please do, Stephen.
I lost contact with you after you were explaining that sometimes making plans straight away for the goals you want to reach in your dreams is impractical. I lost contact shortly after, audio contact with you shortly after you said that. I'm just wondering what you actually said to finish up your idea.
Sure. Thanks for asking. What I was actually just saying is that there is a relationship between your dreams, which are really just your thought processes, and goals, which is basically having a plan of attack for those. And what I was sort of saying is sometimes when you move something from a dream to a goal, i.e. you start doing some things that lead towards that goal, you realise that it's unrealistic for whatever reason. It's unrealistic, or it's not working out, or something has changed. What I was saying there is it's okay for things to go back in the dream basket. Things can shift between.
Mm.
So things can move, I guess, between back and forth, but if you never start to operationalise your thought processes, you'll never know.
Yep.
So it's not that it's giving up if you move something back to the dream basket, it's just that it's understanding that it may not be realistic for that particular moment of time.
Yeah.
And I suppose there's also another point.
Yep.
There's also another point. If people don't exchange their ideas to increase their imaginations, they're also not leading to formalised decisions, I suppose. So I always talk about my ideas, my dream basket with my boss. Works out well that way.
That's fantastic. I mean, I'm always encouraging people to have as best a relationship with their boss as they can. I mean, it's such an important. We spend so much time at work that it's really, really important that you have good relationships with those that you work with, but B, that those that you're working with and for are fully aware of what you need, what you're looking for, and the idea of being able to express that is just super, 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 super important. So, Stephen, that's fantastic. You know, there's that saying. You know, actually I don't know what the saying is. What am I trying to say here? You know, you get what you ask for in life, or something like that. Is that the right saying? What am I trying to say?
Yeah.
In life, you get what you ask for in life.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
And if you don't ask, you don't get. Is that right?
That's it. That's it. If you don't ask, thank you. I knew that. I didn't feel right. If you don't ask, you don't get.
Yeah.
And there's a bit of truth behind that. I mean, people won't know what you want unless you let them know.
Yep.
So,
Exactly right.
and this is, look, we're going to talk about the SMART goals now, and there's actually a component of one of these questions is talking about how other people can help you with your goals, and it's really, really, really important to engage other people when you're sort of trying to set your own goals. So, Stephen, you're already doing a good job in terms of the dreams and the goals, because you're already starting to do one of the key things, which is to engage in others and let others know what it is you're looking for. So well done. And thanks for sharing. Let's have a look at the first question. Alyssa, can you read out for everybody what question number 1 in goal setting is?
Sure. It says review your current workload and set 2 SMART goals that can assist you to ensure you execute what you're responsible for at work. Show your SMART goals in the space provided and ensure these SMART goals work across 2 different areas of the planning cycle. For example, 1-week goal and a 90-day goal.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So here what we're looking for is 2 goals, as Alyssa said. One is a short-term one, so for 1 week, and one is a long-term. This is just getting a bit of practice, guys. It's setting a couple of goals. We don't really mind what you set here. It's not really what the goal is. It's a matter of if your goal becomes a SMART goal. And we're going to talk about what a SMART goal is now. So I don't mind if it's just, I'd like to get all the learning activities, the planning done by the end of the week. I want to get this course done in 90 days' time. That's fine. They're good goals. Good goals to have. Let's talk about what makes a SMART goal. The word SMART is just an acronym, so effectively each letter represents another word. The first letter in the SMART acronym is specific. So Alyssa, give me an example of a goal that's not specific.
Okay, so an example of a goal that's not specific, and I'm going to use this one because I'm sure a lot of people, this is a good goal. I always set it for myself. I want to lose weight. Okay, that is a non-specific goal. All right.
Okay.
I guess it's non-specific because it's not really defining, or it's not. There's no measurement. There's no form of measurement there. It's not specific. It's not telling us how much weight you want to lose. It's not telling us how long you want to allocate to be able to achieve this goal. It's very, very unspecific. So I guess the very first point when you are setting a goal is to make it as specific as you can. So you're already defining the focus of that goal.
Yep, I like it. So how would you make that more specific, that particular goal?
So just to generalise that, I would like to lose 5 kilos in 4 months.
That's great.
So
That's
then
great.
change it
That's
to
great.
make it a little bit more specific, so you're committing to it, I guess. And then,
Yeah,
and then
absolutely.
as you said, Adam, once if you don't ask, you don't get. So commit to it, make it real, honour yourself, put it out there into the world. And as Adam talks about, if you don't ask, you don't get. Things all of a sudden will arise and opportunities will arise, and they will help support what it is that you have set yourself in terms of the goal.
Sounds good. What's the next letter?
M for?
M for Mary?
What was that?
M for Mary? No, it's not Mary. Why would it be Mary? That's silly.
That's it.
M for measurable. So what does measurable mean? It means that we need to be able to measure it somehow. So by measuring it, we need to be able to know. Now, for Alyssa's example, if she wants to lose 4 kilograms, it's a measurable goal because she can jump onto a set of scales and have a look and see if my goal is to earn $100,000 a year working in whatever, I can look at my bank account to see, is the money coming in? Yes, I've achieved that goal. If I'm wanting to fly to the moon, when I'm standing on the moon, I know that I've made it.
Yep.
If your goal is not measurable, if there's no way of knowing if you've succeeded, then the goal is not SMART. And this is why we use this acronym called SMART. So it's got to be measurable by some way, shape. Most goals are, generally speaking. That's usually the one that's a given because it just happens, usually. So if I'm trying to get a job, well, I'll know because my alarm goes off at 6:30 in the morning and normally doesn't. So you'll know. What's the next letter of the cell?
A.
A for Adam?
A for Adam.
No. Okay, enough with the gags, enough with the jokes. A is achievable. Basically, it's just got to be something that's able to be done.
Yep.
If it's not achievable, then it's not a SMART goal. So if I decide to set a goal for myself that I want to be flying and standing on the moon, and I want to be on the moon having breakfast next Monday morning.
Yep.
It's not actually achievable because it takes a long time to get to the moon, and it's already Wednesday. I'm running out of time. So it's not a SMART goal.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah, so it's just got to be something that you can achieve. That's all it is.
Absolutely.
The next letter, now the next letter in our course material actually is realistic. Realistic is the same as achievable, so I actually don't really agree with what the course material is talking about on this occasion. I prefer to use the option here for R as relevant. Now, relevant means, how is it relevant to you?
Yes.
So with every goal, there's got to be some sort of motivation behind why you're doing it. If you cannot answer the question, why am I doing this, then it's not relevant.
Yep.
You have to be able to know why you're doing something, otherwise it's no longer relevant.
That's exactly.
Yeah, Alyssa, you studied the flute. I remember correctly. You played flute.
I did way back when I was about 14, I think, and I used to play the piano, and all of a sudden I for some strange reason, thought that I should play a very delicate instrument like the flute. It sounded good, but I realised that it wasn't for me. It's not something that I can connect to. I guess when you are setting this goal, this is about you and honouring you, so make sure you feel that connection to that goal. Don't set a goal because somebody else wants you to achieve that goal. Set it for yourself. This is about you. So I pretty much gave up the flute. Yeah.
Well, I mean, look, Alyssa, if you set yourself a goal to get to level 2 flute in 6 months' time, or it is specific, it is measurable, it's achievable, all of those things. But if it's not relevant to you, then you're not going to find the motivation to get up and do it. So really, it's all about knowing why you're setting yourself what you're setting. You have to know why. It has to be relevant to you. The last one is time-based. One of the most important parts of setting goals is actually having a time component to it. if you don't set a time, it won't get done. It's as simple as that. It's really as simple as that. I had a goal this year of going into a studio and doing professional recording of some original compositions, music that I've written. Now, I had a really, really difficult time this year in putting together musicians that were keen to do this project. It just, everything that could have gone wrong went wrong, but you know what I did? I actually put a time on this goal, and the goal got done by hook or by crook. Setting that time put pressure on me to get it done. If I didn't have that, everything went wrong that could have gone wrong, but the goal still happened because I had that time. If I didn't put the time base on it, then I would have pushed it back and say, oh, look, we didn't expect all these problems to happen. Don't worry about it. We'll come back to it next month. The time component is super, super, super duper important. Adds a little bit of extra pressure, but sometimes it's needed. So that's smart goals.
Yes.
Should we have a look at question 2?
Absolutely, absolutely.
And sorry, I'm doing a lot of talking here, Lisa. You can...
Yeah, no, I'm just also, guys, just with that question there as well, don't forget to, and as Adam mentioned earlier, don't forget to put it in context of a, for example, 1-week goal and a 90-day goal as well. So make sure you're including those examples on that particular question. Okay, cool.
And all you have to do is just look at the acronym SMART and go, is my goal specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, timely? If it is, then it's a SMART goal. So that's all you need to do to get that question complete. Question 2, looking at the goals that you've just said, what behaviours will maximise your strengths and weaknesses? All we're looking for here is for you guys to identify a couple of your strengths and a couple of your weaknesses that will come into play in reference to these goals.
Yep.
So it might be something to do with time management, it might be, I don't know. So what we're looking for is just to identify some of the strengths and some of the weaknesses that you've got.
Yep.
Because I guess the point of doing this is that when you're setting yourself a goal and when you're doing something, it's really, really important to know how you operate. It's important to know how I tick, what things I'm good at, what things I'm not good at. If I leverage that information or understanding about myself, I'm more likely to A, maximize my strengths, and B, minimize the negative effects on my weaknesses. So that's all we're asking for. You can expand on that, talk about what behaviours and things like that, but really as long as you identify some of the strengths and weaknesses you have in reference to that goal, we'll be really happy with that response. Do you want to add anything to this question too?
Absolutely, and I guess this is also where it comes into play in the SMART acronym where we talk about the relevance of the goal itself. Again, the importance of having a relevant goal would be to actually maximise your strengths or even increase or bridge your areas for development as well. So that might be why this goal is so relevant, because it does maximise your strengths and it does test your weaknesses. So go into a little bit about that as well in that type of thing. And again, this is about you guys. It's not about a legislative answer. There's no perfect answer because it is reflective of you. So Adam and I, we mark accordingly and individually. Just so that you know, there's no right or wrong answer. It's about you guys.
Alyssa's definitely a much tougher marker than I am, just to let everybody know. I'm joking. No, we work together, so we make sure that everybody gets the same treatment, guys. But yeah, with these questions, it's really about you guys engaging the material. You can't get it wrong as long as you answer the question.
Yep.
So that's good.
That's exactly right, yep. And this is one of those units where it is really about you. Managing your professional and personal development is really about you and your own motivation. So a lot of the other units that you'll encounter can be quite specific and very methodological and very theoretical. So have fun with it, like make it about you.
Absolutely. One of the subjects you guys are going to do is business document design. It's templates in Excel and Words. And some of you guys might have already started out in the old system, but there are some subjects which are really dry and are just theoretical and what have you. Some are not. Now this one is, this subject might be the most important subject you guys have ever done in your own life, because how often in life do we get to focus on ourselves? Life is busy. We're working, we're studying, we've got family commitments, we've got other commitments. Life is busy. There's very, very few opportunities we get in life to think about ourselves and to set ourselves some goals and plans and try and make things better for ourselves. This subject does it. And at the end of the subject, we'll talk about it in those assessment webinars coming up in a few weeks in the subject. But eventually what the subject is leading towards is you guys developing your own personal development plan, i.e. you have a goal, you write it down, and you come up with a list of things that you're going to do in order to get there. And it's something that you can use side by side as you progress through this course. Work with Alyssa and I and talk about your goals with us. We're here to help you get to where you want to go. And it's really, really exciting. So I mean, this is such a great opportunity. I'm absolutely excited for all of you guys that you have this opportunity to do this.
All right. I am in agreement with you. This is an exciting unit. I love it.
How many times have we said exciting in the last few minutes?
I don't know. I think
right up there, isn't it?
There's a prize for the student that can tell us that we've exceeded more than 20. All right. So question 3.
Yep.
So to increase the level of accountability to achieve your SMART goal, what strategies could you put in place and who could help you to achieve your goal? How could they help you to achieve your goal and what approach will you use to ask them to assist you?
Yeah. Can I share one of my students' response on this one? I thought it was fantastic.
Yep.
I had a student that was talking about engaging with her children to do a little bit more work and help out around the house. The reason was that she needed to be able to put X amount of time aside to do what she needed to do to achieve her goal, and she realised that her children were actually a part of this goal, but not actually with relation to the goal, but with relation to the housework, because she needed to get the housework sorted out so that she could put some time aside. I thought that was just really clever. Really what we're looking for here is the understanding that other people are involved in your goals. There's very, very, very few goals in life that do not engage in anybody else. You know, can you go to a desert island without the internet, without phone, without anything, and achieve your goal? If you can, then don't worry about this question. But I'd say it's very unlikely that that's the case. So with every goal, there are people that are involved. If you're looking to get a different job, well, some of the people that you might need to speak to might be friends and family, might be people that work in a certain industry or company that can give you information, might be somebody that you know that knows a recruitment officer or agency. It might be just somebody who can give you some advice, somebody who might look over your resume for you. It might be Alyssa or I. I really hope that Alyssa and I might even be an option in this question for you guys. Use Alyssa and I as a sounding board to work through some of the things that you're working through. So what I'm looking for here is the understanding that when you're pointing towards a goal, there are others involved. So I'd like you to identify who else might be involved in one or all of your goals, and what are you going to do how are you going to communicate with them? So are you going to see them face to face and ask them for help? Are you going to send them an email? You can pick up the phone. How do you plan on sort of engaging with that person, and how do they sort of form a part of your goal? That's sort of really what I'm looking for. Yeah. Alyssa, what are you looking for here?
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. I mean, you've hit the nail on there. You've hit the hammer. You know that expression? That's
the nail on the head?
That's it, the nail on the head.
I know that expression. I didn't know the what's the one that
the other one. Yeah, and it's all about, like, and as Adam said, it's all about what are you going to do? What strategies do you put into place? So there's a few different elements of the question, as Adam's already identified. So just make sure you're breaking it down and you are thinking about the impact of goals on other people, like your goals on other people, and who helps you contribute to the success of your goals. So yeah, no, that's I think that's more than covered that answer there, Adam.
Okay, wonderful.
All right.
I think we have one more question to go. Hey?
Yeah, I'm just going to click on to next now. Yeah, so just going to go. Okay, great.
And guys, have a think about some questions that you might like to ask us in relation to either this subject or anything, because as soon as we've finished this question, we're going to throw it over to you guys to ask some questions and so on and so forth. So last question, and then it's over to all of you guys.
Yeah. So this is a really nice question, I think, to finish off the first series of learning activities, and that's really, tell me about a time when you have been a role model and the behaviours you demonstrated to get the best from people and maximise planning and your organisational skills. Look, so again, this is a very personalised approach. We want to see a little bit of you in here. When you get to it is a really nice process for Adam and I. We get to connect to you, and you also get to connect to the question. So you get to see how your experience applies to this particular unit. So it really is just one example of how you have been a role model Now, if you're not working, you have been a role model to your children, or perhaps you've been a role model to a sporting or in a community environment. So you can always consider that as well. And what are the
Yep, or use previous employment situations as well. So we really don't mind. We're just looking for the example.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So don't necessarily think that if you're not currently working that you can't apply it to a personalised situation or a previous work situation. So this is really about you telling us about a time when you've been a role model, okay? Yeah, and really like looking at what those behaviours were that you demonstrated to be able to help that person along the way. Adam, do you have an example where which you could use just to show them the application of that?
I can't think of anything got off the top of my mind. Does anybody that's listening, has anybody completed these questions already? And if so, does anybody want to share what they've put as an example in this question at all?
I guess, yeah. I guess an example could be that, you know, if you're working in a situation where perhaps you're working with another member or associate that was having difficulty, I guess, adjusting to the environment or having some difficulty with time management and couldn't get tasks done to a certain time frame, perhaps you coached or mentored them to be able to help them achieve what it is that they needed to achieve in the time frame that they did. That could be a little example of how you did that.
Absolutely. That's a great example. Oh, beautiful. Thanks, Stephen. Stephen, everybody, Stephen's going to share an example. Thanks, Stephen.
I employ all the theories that are taught to us in these modules in my everyday day-to-day work, and people really take notice of the sort of behaviours that we thought, like that encourage people to communicate openly and conform to expressing their ideas with you, making decisions about what they're going to do, the ideas you suggest to them. Even though I'm not formally employed as a manager or anything, I do find a lot of the ideas presented here in this learning activity are quite helpful in getting people to be motivated and actually do things that I suggest, so that's really good.
Thanks, Stephen. Just something that I'd like to just say in reference to what you just said there, it's really, you don't need to be a manager or you don't need to be in a position of particular authority to demonstrate good leadership skill. Now, leadership is a whole other subject in itself, and actually leadership is, well, it's another subject, so we're really, I'll probably leave the leadership stuff for the leadership subject. But you can be a role model in life no matter who you are, no matter what position you are in, no matter what you're doing. There's absolutely you don't need to be in a certain position to be able to show others. Now, as Alyssa said, this is a good example of this might be you're working in a factory, the guy next to you, has an order that he needs to get out, and he's just not going to get it out before 5 o'clock, and you've done all your work for the day and you've already started tomorrow's work. You might go, you know what, I'm going to go over there and help this gentleman finish his order so that he can get himself out, and then tomorrow he can come over and help me for the first hour of the day, and then we'll all be equal. That's an example of showing a bit of sort of leadership and, demonstrating some sort of, I can see something needs to happen here, and just being a good role model. So any example is good. We're looking for a good role model sort of behaviour here. If you can link to planning and organisation, that's fantastic. But to be honest with you, as long as there's a good sort of role model and behavioural example, I'm happy. I think that's really it for the first session on goal setting, guys. It's a bit of a longer sort of chit chat, I guess, on this one. Normally, what's going to happen is we will be unpacking 2 sets of questions. So we've only unpacked 1 set of questions today. It's the first one. So we've talked a little bit longer on it. And plus, I like the subject. Quite pertinent, the subject sets everything up anyway. But does anybody have any questions of any description?
General feedback, general comments as well? Like general comments.
We like general comments. Fantastic. Thanks, Chris. So as you can see, guys, these webinars will be extremely valuable for you guys in terms of tuning in and seeing what the expectation on these questions are. Just to recap, if you missed the start, I was letting you know that each subject has 6 webinars. 3 are dedicated to the content, the first 3, so this is the first third of the content. Second 3 are dedicated to unpacking the assessments, the main bodies of work. We'll be actually unpacking them and letting you know what we expect from you as for your submissions. That should make life a lot more easier because you'll know exactly what it is you need to do. You can tune in on these. What we're going to do is Alyssa and I are going to upload these webinars to the actual site as well. So if you're doing this work at a later date and you want to tune in and have a look and see what was said, you can do that. So they're going to be absolutely invaluable.
Yep.
Thanks, Lee. Cheers, mate. Good to see you here too. Does anybody want to, and anybody who wants to unmute themselves and start talking, let's make it a free-for-all. We're here for the next couple of minutes. If anybody wants to share anything, say anything, we're all ears. Thank you, Melina. I can hear a microphone.
Oh.
Cool. Why the guys think of all of these wonderful questions to ask us? Alyssa, have you got anything else that you want to add to goal setting at all?
No, I think from that first, just from all those first learning activities and some of the things that we've talked about, I think yeah, I think I would definitely encourage most people to try and set some goals for themselves, and if goals scare you, then maybe just set yourself little goals, but they can be very useful in I guess assisting you in knowing where you want to go in life and really essentially who you are, what you're capable of, and I guess what you didn't know you're capable of as well.
Absolutely.
So
yeah, we as human beings are an unbelievably adaptive species, and we can tend to do stuff that we don't even realise we're even capable of doing.
That's exactly right.
And if you've never set a goal before or written something down on paper, it can be a bit confronting because there's a bit of pressure to do it. But the amazing thing is that we're pretty capable animals, if we can use that term.
Oh, absolutely. I agree with you. And in life in general, the only person that stops you from achieving something is you. Is the mindset you've told yourself that you can't, or you won't, or you don't.
Yep.
And it really is, you can, if you allow your mind to let go and you allow your mind to, to drive you, you really can achieve anything. The only person that stops you is you. And that thing where you go, no, I can't do it, and you can do it. And if you set goals, you'll be able to be able to see that. Well, I think we had a question.
Absolutely. Yep.
We had a question from Lee. What happens if you don't pay attention to what you're good at and so forth, and learning becomes quite difficult for the job and just doesn't?
Lee, I'm not 100% sure what the actual question is here. Are you able to rephrase this one a little? Rolls up the sleeves and just gets the work done. I've never been really great at organising myself, and planning my day ahead, planning a month ahead, 6 months and a year ahead. I just have always relied on having a strong work ethic and getting the job done. Unfortunately,
I was going to just ask Lee a question.
Yeah, please.
Lee, I just was wondering, the jobs that you do you love the jobs that you've done, and you love the job that you do?
Just while Lee's typing his response and his answer, there's another little thing I just want to mention here. Um, when before I was talking about engaging with other people for your goal, don't ever be afraid to ask for help. Now, when I say that, it's easier said than done, of course. If I'm looking for work, it's not easy to ask other people for help, you know, and especially as a man. As a man, it's one of those, and I'm not saying it's not the same for women, but, you know, typically as a man, we sort of value ourselves on being able to bring home the bacon and bring home a few bucks. And when you're not employed, your self-confidence and your sense of worth and so on and so forth does take a bit of a hit. It's not easy to ask others for help. But one thing I'd just like to mention in reference to asking others for help is that the feeling that other people get when you ask them for a bit of assistance is unbelievable. People love being asked if you know they can help.
Yeah.
So if Alyssa comes to me and says, Adam, do you mind helping me? I've got something I need a little bit of help with. I couldn't be happier. I feel really good about myself that somebody's asked me if I can help them. So remember, even though it feels really yucky to ask for help at times, just think about what you're doing for the other person. You're actually allowing them to feel a real great sense of worth. So if you can just take yourself out of your mindset and focus on how it might actually, what that might actually even do is for a relationship with that other person, you'll see it'll actually even improve that relationship dramatically. Sorry, yeah, back to Lee. Apologies. Alyssa, did you want to continue with this one?
Yeah, I was just going to say that obviously you've been fortunate enough to be able to do jobs that you obviously love doing, and I guess that helps you just kind of get in there and do it. I guess the other question to consider, and as you mentioned in the beginning of that, is that what happens if you don't pay attention to what you're good at? So do you feel, I guess it's a bit of a feeling question, but obviously if you're doing a job that you love doing, maybe it is a job that you do find that you have strengths in. I think if you do a job and you love what you do, then it shows through and it is a strength that you do. I think if you do a job that you don't like doing, the weaknesses that you have really do start to show through. Would you agree with me, Adam, with that?
Yeah, I do. For me, I think that one of the most important things is to start, you know, doing a bit of reflection on yourself, and it's part of the whole goal setting process really is the more you understand how you are and operate, the more likely you're going to get what you want in life. So if I understand what I'm really good at, but also if I understand what I'm not so good at, it gives me a better opportunity to A, choose things that are more relevant to me, but B, you know, I'll be able to work with my boundaries.
Yes.
We all have strengths, we all have weaknesses. Don't think for a second that any one person on this planet doesn't have a weakness.
Yep.
If somebody says to you that they don't have a weakness, they haven't discovered what their weakness is. Everybody has weaknesses. Everybody has strengths as well.
Exactly
In
right.
fact, it's also quite difficult at times to work out what our own strengths are. What I will say is for the students, anybody who wants a little bit of help trying to identify their own strengths and weaknesses, I have worksheets, I have reference material, I have a whole heap of stuff in this particular field and area where you can actually just systematically go through some worksheets and tick and cross and self-assess yourself to determine what your strengths and weaknesses are. And you know what, it's actually quite a liberating experience when you discover a little bit more about yourself. So for any student who wants a bit more additional information on how to discover and identify their own strengths and weaknesses, just contact myself or Alyssa.
Yep.
And I'll be more than happy to give you some additional stuff. And this is what Alyssa and I are here for. We're here to work with you guys to the level that you need.
And also, just on, I guess on another note as well, I would encourage people not to run away from their strengths as well. So if you know that you're good at something, a lot of the times people are actually quite afraid of success, and perhaps they do things that they know don't encourage their own strengths, and maybe it is because they're just fearful of the fact that this is of that feeling of success. I'm a big believer of what Adam said, you know, identifying where your strengths are, identifying where your areas for improvement are, but also really rewarding yourself with doing things that you are good at. You know, not running away from that success, because that could be essentially what it is that that you're here to do. You know, like I will probably use the word honour 40,000 times, and I really believe in honouring nurturing yourself and understanding who you are, what you're good at, and showing the world what you're good at, because that's what the world needs to see.
I just as a bit of a random comment, there's a gentleman by the name of Daniel Goldman, if anybody is familiar with this person's name. He's written a book called Emotional Intelligence. The idea of emotional intelligence, just as a broad conversation, is that there's more to intelligence than just IQ. You know, there's all these IQ tests and what's your IQ number and higher IQ number, I'm more intelligent than you. Well, what this particular gentleman, Daniel Goldman, has discovered or written about is that there's more to intelligence than just the IQ, intelligence quotient, and there's something called emotional intelligence. So what is effectively meant by emotional intelligence is having self-awareness and being able to empathize with others. So those that can sense somebody else's mood and feeling, those who can understand their own self. Why am I getting angry? Why am I feeling this way? That's what we call emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is a big part of having intelligence, obviously. But I guess what I'm leading is with this is that what Goldman talks about is that you first need to understand yourself before you can help anybody else in life. So if I want to understand Alyssa and how Alyssa's feeling, and if I really, really, truly want to empathize with other people, there is no way possible I can do that without first understanding myself. So a really good starting point with goal setting, working with others, in the general sort of terms, is try and get to know yourself a little bit better. Anybody who's really interested, we've got plenty of resources available to you on a personal level. Outside this course to a certain degree, but in many ways it couldn't be more relevant. So.
Yeah, and Stephen, that is a great little, I guess, saying to end up on, and your reach should definitely exceed your grasp. And that is, I guess, a really nice close to the session this morning. Yeah, and it is just a really nice personalised little touch there. So thank you very much for that.
Don't be afraid to go out and get things in life, and you know what? There's no such thing as failure ever. You have a go at something, and if it doesn't work out, then it doesn't. That's okay. Be comfortable with identifying yourself as who you are and what you want in life, and there's no worries in trying things and if they don't work out. And I can be the first person to attest to that. So, yeah. Guys, I think that wraps up the first session. Anybody have any last questions that they'd like to throw at Alyssa and I, or?
Hello?
Hello?
Yes, it's Milena. I just wanted to ask about the personal development plan.
Yep.
Just a definition.
Okay, so you're talking about the third assessment task? Okay, so sorry, I mentioned it earlier, didn't I? Yes.
Yes.
Sorry, Milena. So there's 3 assessments, or 3 sort of like assignments in this subject, if you like. The very last one, assessment number 3, you're actually required to create a personal development plan. What we mean by that is we want to see what your career objectives are.
Right.
So my career objective might be to be managing the team of, the goal has to be SMART, is what we talked about today, which I haven't given you a good example, but really we just want what your individual career objective is. And then what we want to see is an action plan on how you're going to go about achieving it.
Right.
So the document is going to be, is you'll have to answer questions like, what's your career objective? Why is it your career objective? What personal and professional development, so what's the learning gap? What do I need to do to get from here to there? And then we want to see an action plan. So what are the steps involved? So give me 10, 15, 20 steps. What are the steps involved that's going to get me there? And then there's a few other questions that relate to it as well, like how can this particular plan help to grow your network? How can this, what development opportunities suit your particular learning style? There's a couple of particular questions, but in a general term, we're looking for, I think, about 1,000-word report, just talking about what my objectives are, how I'm going to plan on getting there, and what the gaps are, what I need to do, obviously, to get between here and there.
Thank you, Adam.
Thank you, Melina. I think that's the end of the first session. For those that might have come in late or weren't in today, you'll see that it's uploaded to the site at a later stage. Management students, we have the next webinar on Friday. This one's going to be at 2 p.m. Is that right, Alyssa?
Yes, that's
2
correct.
p.m. on
So,
Friday?
yeah, the next Friday one will be 2 p.m.
Yep, we'll be releasing a schedule tomorrow as well for the following week. So every Wednesday we'll be sending out a schedule for when the following week's webinars are going to be. What we're trying to do is change the times every week so that we can give everybody an opportunity to come and so we can see. But Alyssa and I would love to hear your feedback as far as when the best times to do these are. Just let us know and we'll take note of it. We want to make sure that we get as many of you guys into these sessions as possible. So let us know what times seem to work best for you. Otherwise, keep an eye out for the messages online for the schedules. We'll see you on we'll see you on Friday at 2 o'clock for the next subject, which is project planning. And yeah, there'll be basically two webinars per week to attend. Keep an eye out for the schedules each week.
Oh,
Sounds good.
All
Thank you
right.
very much, guys.
yeah, I hope everybody has a great day. And thanks, Chris, for reminding us that we will have to be submitting some videos about ourselves.
Okay, Chris, or anybody else, if you have any questions that you want to ask of Alyssa and I,
Oh,
you can put forward any questions that you like, and Alyssa and I have to ask each other those questions. How about that?
oh no.
I think Alyssa just dropped off the line. No, she's still there.
Oh dear. Okay.
If there's anything you want to know about your teachers, trainers, send us a message and we'll put it in the video.
Oh. Oh, excellent. I look forward to that experience.
Yeah, sounds good. I reckon Chris might have a couple of good questions there
I
too.
think you might too. Yeah.
Thanks, Lee. Good to have you here. Melina, cheers. Thanks, everybody. Leanne, cheers. Thank you very much for coming. Peter, I think you just sort of came in a little bit later. The next one's on at 2 p.m. You can see that one. Peter, if you want to catch the rest of the session, have a look later in the week. We'll actually upload the full video. Thanks, everybody, for coming. We'll see you on Friday.
Excellent. Take care, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.